Hello and welcome along to the form, and we're looking ahead to Friday racing out of Barley Raceway at Timaru, also to Alexandra Park Greyhounds from 102 Raceway as well, and we'll have a little look ahead to the weekend as well. Let's see who's coming up on the form today. We'll talk with Matthew Cross around the Barley Raceway card for a Friday, also to Craig Thompson talking Alexandra Park. We'll also look ahead to Sunday's Methven Cup meeting. Philippa Morris will join us to talk the 102 Greyhounds, 15 races coming through. And then we'll link up with Jamie Richards to talk about a massive weekend for Te Akau Racing, including their runners at Timaru on the Friday. And David Brown will join us and talk elephant and all things to go with the Brown team. Friday galloping comes to us out of Barley Raceway and Timaru, and the man taking us through the action there is Matthew Cross. Matt, really looking forward to this. 11 races, so it's a bumper program and some pretty full fields and competitive betting races as well.
Yeah, hi, Aidan. The nominations came up super for this meeting, didn't they? Horses obviously looking to get a run under their belt, $12,000 minimum stakes as well. It did 5 track Thursday morning. Wouldn't be surprised with the weather around, particularly here in Christchurch, if that's the case in Timaru, that we might get ourselves to a dead 4, maybe even better. Generally a fair sort of a track. Obviously, it is an advantage if there's no tempo to find yourself on speed, but if they go hard enough, then horses will get their chance. And like you say, it should be a good betting day.
Yeah, 11 races, obviously a fair bit of form to get through. What have you found for us?
So I've got a couple of nice bets for you. Race number 2 is a really good race. It's the maiden 3-year-old 1200. I thought when I saw the noms that this was going to stack up as just about the race of the day in terms of the trial form and whatnot coming into it. And a horse that I saw at the trials at Ashburton a couple of weeks ago, did trial as a 2-year-old and won a trial. The name of Satellite. It's runner number 12 in the book, a daughter of Vadamos. Now, seeing her come into the parade at the trial, she's a really beautiful looking filly. She got back in her trial. Ugo, who goes around in the same race as her, beat her home, but I thought she was equally as good, if not better than him in that trial. And her work after the line suggests that first up over 1,200 metres should be hard to beat. Has a nice enough gate to work with. Terry Mosley does the riding for Lance Robinson, and I think that she will be a winner, if not in her first run to the races, within her first couple anyway. She just looks like a really nice horse to the eye, Aidan, so I'm going to trust the instincts around that. Race 2, number 12, Satellite. The next one I've found is race number 6, number 1, Rockland. I think that the Timaru circuit will suit him with his explosive early speed. Even under the 60 kilos, looks a really winnable race for him. I think they'll punch across from the wide draw, try and dictate the race, and he can certainly go one better than he did last time at Riccarton Park. Only went down a little bit in behind a fairly handy horse by the name of Fashion Shirt, whom we will see on the card as well. And the other one for a bit of value in race 8, the Maiden Mile. I was liking this horse last start after his closing sectionals first up. Runner number 5, Enough Said. Race wasn't run to suit him at Riccarton Park. He got himself in all sorts of trouble. Out the back, he was wide, never really travelled like a horse who was going well. Prior run on a turning track at Ashburton was good. Weak race for him, nice enough draw, and I think he can bounce back in race number 8, number 5, Enough Said. Looks a pretty even sort of a go, the maiden 1600. There's not a lot of depth in it. His first up sectionals suggest that he was a winner in waiting. So if you can bypass that Riccarton run last time, he's certainly worth a bet in race number 8.
Okay, obviously the spring's starting to heat up, not too far away from Cup Week there. The first from Timaru at 11:28, which you can catch on trackside. But Matt, before I let you go, I had a calling job on Tuesday for the first time on the all-weather track at Riccarton. What was the feedback?
Feedback's been good, Aidan, and the times that they were running, they ran 1:10 and change for the open handicap over 1,200 metres early in the day. They seemed to scoot along, and the horses looked relatively comfortable in it. There were horses finding the line coming from the back. There was horses up front who were travelling really well. A little bit different, I guess. We're all kind of programmed to watch races at Riccarton on the big, roomy grass track, so it was different. Things were happening a little bit quicker. But I think it's a positive sign going forward, and I know that the club are thrilled to be able to get the first trial meeting out of the way. There's been a lot of hard work go into it from numerous avenues within the industry. So, look, it's the first step out of the way. I believe we'll be racing on it middle of winter next year. There'll be a few trial meetings before then. But from all reports I've had, Aidan, there was a lot of ticks of approval from both industry participants and the club.
Yeah, had a brief look through it. I think we've got actually runners going to Timaru, but there was a Pittman filly won by about 12, a Burgundy. It looked pretty good. What do you make of that one?
Yeah, look, she was just about the trial of the day. Burgundy Gold, I think you're speaking of that horse, drew a nice gate, punched out, and look, was probably a sitting duck at the top of the straight, but then just found another gear. She was really good. I think that she's possibly worth following wherever she goes to in her next start. I think it was a case of horses in the trials who were able to find themselves onto the speed were hard to beat, particularly over the shorter courses, the 600 and the 800. But she was one of the standouts of the day. And yeah, wherever she goes, I'm sure that she'll be gathering plenty of support from the punters.
Good on you, Matt. Really appreciate you taking us through the Timaru card, and I'll be joining you for that program on Trackside as well.
Nice one, Aidan. Looking forward to it.
We're going to talk harness now. We'll grab Craig the Whale Thompson to take us through not only Alexandra Park, but also Methven and a couple of really big meetings. Craig, first of all, in Auckland, Spring Cup night. Tell us about the feature.
Yeah, good morning to you, Aidan. Yeah, it is the first lead up to the Cup for the North Islanders. They're a little bit behind the eight ball with the Southerners. They've had a couple of runs, but with what COVID has appeared in the North Island, trainers haven't been able to get their horses to the trial. So this is their first chance to elevate their status towards the second Tuesday in November, and it's great to have them back. Of course, Copy that ran second in the race last year, beaten and nosed by Max Shard. He's had a couple of trials, Aidan, what I can tell you. His trials have been safe away from the stand, nothing spectacular, but safe away. And I thought he's found the line in some pretty quick sectionals in both of them. So bookmakers have opened it up $1.60 yesterday afternoon. Wouldn't want to take much less than that, but I think he's the horse to beat. And going forward, I think his fitness-wise, I had a talk to the Lincoln Farms team last night. When he came back from the Queensland campaign where he's so successful over there, he only had 7 to 10 days in the paddock. So wasn't a long layoff. I think he's relatively fit. Residual fitness is there. And I think with a good beginning, he's the horse to beat. Main Danger, the Barry Purdon trained bad to the bone. Loved the way he worked last Friday. So I think they're the clear top two in the Spring Cup of 2021.
Okay, so liking that. What about from a futures point of view with the New Zealand Cup? How does Copy that fit in?
Well, I think his $7 about a week ago was probably a shade of overs because the market was set with Self Assured, the Cup winner from last year, being very tight. They always hold the favourite from the Cup the year before as tight as they can. And he did nothing wrong in the Canterbury Classic running third. The big improver out of that was obviously South Coast Arden. He won the Canterbury Classic last year. They've shortened them up to a clear second favourite. Brett Mangos took the advantage of hitting south early while the Northerners were still sorting out what races they could line up in. So that's what I said. The Northerners are a little bit behind the eight ball. I'd want to watch Copy that go round on Friday night, then make a decision whether I back him heading towards the Cup. But the plans with him, Aidan, are a little bit up in the air because Ray Green wants to give him a run in a couple of weeks. There's a race on the 15th of October, I think, set in at Alexandra Park. But that weekend is Ashburton Flying Stakes. So he's got to make a decision. Does he line up at Auckland on Friday and get straight on the truck and head south? Or does he stay in the North Island and bypass the Ashburton Flying Stakes? I probably suggest it'll head to Ashburton, get on that truck and get out of Auckland.
Okay, liking that. Before we get down to the Methven meeting, anything else on the Alexandra Park program that you want to steer punters towards?
Well, I like a mare called Mimia Coco. Goes around earlier on in the program, Aidan. She's in race number 5. She's had 2 trials. The first up trial, she actually pushed the Jules winner, BD Joe, to a nose. Of course, they are stablemates. And I love the way she works. She falls into the right race as a rating 57. She's one of the higher rated horses in the race. She does have very good gate speed over a short journey. Form line says awful. Trial form says great. I'll lean towards the trial form, Aidan. So I like Mimia Coco. Probably best Quinella of the night's the last. Steve Telfer's got all 7 runners in the last. Had a good talk to him last night about the team and where they are. BD Joe resuming, of course, the Jules winner. He's very confident with Alta Wise Guy and BD Joe. It's the Quinella of the night. He's got all 7 in. He couldn't split the 2, but I think it's a lock-in Quinella in the last on Friday night.
Okay, before we let you go, we do want to talk about Sunday's Methven Cup. And, of course, this won't be at Mount Harding Racecourse in Methven because of just a few issues around the track. It's moved to Orari. Just tell us about the nuances about the change in venue, Craig.
Yeah, well, Orari is a little bit of a tighter turning track. Obviously, Methven is the A-grade track who has come to harness racing on the grass. It's a sole grass track venue for harness racing, as against Orari being used for the gallopers as well. But on Methven, unfortunate for the club, obviously, with what the weather went through there a fortnight ago, they've had to transfer the meeting. They've done the right thing going to Orari. It's still a good field. It's not a classic Methven Cup field, Aid, in the fact that we haven't got the former all-star stable there that's won this race the last 3 years, Spankham, Chase, Auckland, Cruise, Bromac. They're not there, but there's a few up-and-comers in there. And probably the two that you want to touch on, they're Kango and Cranbourne. Now, Cranbourne was a winner last week in an intermediate grade pace at Eddington on Premier Night. He's an up-and-comer. He shifted in, I think, from about $81 in the New Zealand Cup market. He was very good, and he does like the grass track. Kango went to the Canterbury Classic. He's the northern that's gone south early, bit like South Coast Arden. Anna wanted to give him a couple of stands, give him a few more races in this hardened grade, this open class ranks. And I thought he was very good to run sixth in the Canterbury Classic. Obviously, the three that beat him home, they're favourites for the Cup. They're Pembroke Playboy, Self-Assured, and South Coast Arden. He ran sixth and not far away. If you compare their times on the same night, Cranbourne ran 3:17 in winning the intermediate grade pace. Kango ran sixth, but went 3:13. So he went 3 seconds faster. That may give you a guide leaning into the Methven Cup. Depending on what price we're filming, without the prices out for the Methven Cup, Aidan, I'd tend to lean to Kango, country's leading driver Blair Orange aboard, Cranbourne being the main danger.
Does the grass track have much of a bearing on how this result plays out and how the race plays out?
Well, there's always grass track specialists. There's always those horses that prefer that greener surface over the all-weather track. Franco Niven's one of them. He loves the grass track. He's got a very good record. And there's a couple of others in this race. But I think the cream will rise to the top in this field. These horses, they're using this as a guide for the Cup and where their chances are going forward. And trainers will make assessments out of this race, whether they want to continue on this campaign. Kango and Cranbourne, I'm pretty much guaranteed they'll continue forward.
Okay, anything else on the Methven card that we should be looking for?
Best bit of the day goes round earlier on there. It's a maiden race too. It's called a Cento. It's fresh up. Watched it trial the other day. It's had 2 trials, a 1 and a 3rd. Love the way it savaged the line. It is a grass. It's had a start on the grass in the past, Aidan. It's drawn barrier 7 out a bit, but it's got very good gate speed. Blair Orange aboard. He hasn't driven it in the past. He gets on Sunday. Very keen on it to go forward, dominate, and to win.
Okay, really liking that, Craig. Thanks for taking us through both those programs. Methven, Orari, and Alexandra Park. We'll sum up your best bets later on. Thanks for your time, Craig.
Yeah, good on you, Aidan. Good luck to the punters on the weekend.
We talk greyhounds now on the form, and we go to Philippa Morris, our greyhound expert. Pip, you've got Manawa 2 Raceway, and it's a pretty big card with a little bit of a late start. Tell us a little bit about the meeting.
It certainly is, Aidan. It starts at around 2 p.m. twilight meeting. 15 race cards, so the first 10 will be on the first meeting, and then we get those extra 5 races. Really good meeting to look forward to. Not as many high-grade dogs with Lisa Cole heading down to Addington yesterday, but some really good fields nonetheless, and have picked out a best in value on the program.
Okay, you better share them.
I've gone for the best in race number 9, a dog called Allegro Zach. Look, he's moved into an inside alley, and even though he does use the track up a little bit, it's not a strong field at all. Good third from him last start, hitting the line strong. So I really think he'll be taking up race number 9.
Okay, I like the way that you put those efforts into box draws and things. How crucial is it for this one?
Look, it is for him. I think box number 7 at Manawa 2, big swinging track, quite roomy. It's hard to really make up ground if you're getting held out wide. Getting an inside alley, even if he is a little bit slow away, Aidan, he can really push up that rail, save ground, and I think that's what he'll do.
Okay, we want one at a bigger price, Pip, so what have you found for us?
I've gone for a dog called Shot of Class, actually, in race number 8. And I don't like tipping out mum's dogs, Aiden, but she does train this one. And he needed the run last start. He's been absolutely walking out of the boxes at Hattrick Raceway. Much better jump from him at Palmerston North last time out. And then he just came to the end of his run. I think he'll be better with the run this time underneath his belt. Not a strong field again. And he draws box number 6, and that's where he wants to be because he's a scouter.
Okay, you talk about that family influence, and it's an interesting one too, because I know you're ensconced in the broadcasting now, not only as a presenter with Trackside, but also a commentator these days. Do you miss the training at all?
I actually really do, to be honest. I miss having them. I don't miss the really early starts. I've got to say that. When I used to work part-time and get up at 5 to walk them, I don't miss that so much, but I really do miss having them. But I'm happy to sit there and talk about them and own them still, but one day I might put my hand back in the training ranks.
Okay, we're glad to have you part of our Greyhound team, and good luck to punters getting in and following you in those investments. What time's the first again?
Just 10 past 2.
Great, Jamie Richards here on the form to talk weekend racing. And before we get into the Saturday racing, where you've got a really strong team both sides of the Tasman, Jamie, let's talk Timaru. You go there with a nice team. Was Timaru part of your thinking for the South Island campaign?
Oh, it's always a sort of a meeting there that we use if we've got any concerns about anything, or there just hasn't really been any maiden 12s at Riccarton. So, yeah, it's a nice little meeting where you can hopefully get a bit of confidence with a win.
Yeah, absolutely. One of those horses, Shepherd's Delight, we saw the horse trial really well in the north and has since been to the trials as well. What did you make of that last trial?
Yeah, trialled well. Pleased with her. She unfortunately just didn't get a start at Riccarton. She just didn't have enough points and got caught on the ballot. So back to the trials we went. She trialled well, and thankfully she's come up with a nice gate there on Friday tomorrow.
Okay, expectations with her, how competitive, and what isn't a bad little maiden race down there?
Well, if she's up to getting black type, she's got to be running top 3 in a race like this.
Okay, good as gold. Moving on to the 4th, and Synchronise, who had been so impressive at the trials earlier on. What did you make of the last start run?
That was a complete disaster. Just too far forward outside the leader, not breathing. And Julie stopped, so we'll ride her for a bit of cover. And back to sort of 65 grade away from the stakes race, around a corner. I'm hoping that she can bounce back to her best because she is a good filly.
Okay, so the idea is just getting back and then really attacking them late. Is that the plan?
Well, not necessarily getting back, like we won't be throwing away that barrier, but we'll certainly be riding for a bit of cover. Hopefully she can settle 4th, 5th, something like that, and be given a chance in the straight.
Okay, on to race 5. You've got 2 runners here. Fashion Shooter was really good, winning last time out and rating 65 steps up in grade, and Secret Amore, who really attacked the line in the straight last time out. They look probably the best 2 horses in the race. How do they compare for you?
Yeah, I think they're coming along well. Secret Amore is she was supposed to run last week and just got held up with a bit of a bad blood, so hence why she's here. She's drawn out a little bit, but I think we'll push forward from there anyway. She's a handy mare, hopefully got a bit of black type in her, and Fashion Shirt, she's a bit the same. So she was good at Riccarton, winning there well. Just thought this was a nice sort of step up into that next grade, staying away from a Saturday race. Again, drawn awkwardly, but hopefully we can go forward a little bit. Both of them should be nice chances.
Okay, and Radagast, your other runner in race 6. I'm picking Synchronise is going to run the earlier race.
Yeah, Synchronise will run in the fillies and mares, try and chase that bonus. And then that leaves Danielle to ride Radagast here, another that's drawn awkward. Running out of time with this horse. He was naughty in the gates at Riccarton last time, but has trialled well since, so he really needs to be on his best behaviour and race well to be hanging around.
Okay, good. Let's take you to Saturday, and it's obviously a pretty big day. Matamata Cup Day, close to home. You've got the Taranaki Breeders' Stakes at Hawera, where you've got festivity. Let's go there first. Wait for age for her. She's fast. What about the 1,400 metres? How does it suit?
I don't think it's going to be a problem for her. she's had a couple of runs under her belt now and just had no luck on either of them. Like, she raced outside the leader in the Foxbridge, and I thought fought on well under the circumstances. Then she got caught 4 and 5 deep last week at Te Rapa in a good race and was out where no one was winning. So we sort of nominated her with a view to just being open-minded. As it sort of worked out, we've ended up with Jonathan Riddell on board, which I think is a big plus. And it does look a pretty even sort of field. So keeping a close eye on the weather with her, as we are with all of our runners up here this weekend. But we did a little bit of work on the course proper here this morning. We were happy with it, so I think we'll roll the dice there on Saturday, provided that we're happy with how the track conditions turn up on Saturday morning.
Okay, where does this race sort of fit into her program for the spring?
Well, we've sort of just been feeling our way a little bit with her. We were pretty confident that she's ready to run well first up, and things didn't go our way. And we're confident she's going to run well last weekend as well. And, we're just not having a lot of luck. So, she was going to head to the Red Badge next week at Hastings, but I was sort of keen to stay away from there. I think that's going to be quite a rich race. I think that she'd probably start a shorter price in this particular race here on the weekend than she would in the Red Badge. Hopefully we've got her, gone the right way. But we'll just sort of pick our way through the grades, just with the aim of trying to get some black type. But I think she's a mare that's, hopefully up to racing through, some nice black type targets throughout the coming months.
Okay, Matamata Saturday as well. Is that where you'll be for the Saturday racing?
Yeah, hopefully. Provided that we're, still doing everything that we're doing. Hopefully we can, keep going. But the rain is starting to drive me insane. So how much rain we get tonight will dictate how many runners we have on Saturday.
Okay, as it stands, you've got Miss Sierra and she's a thinker in the first. Your expectations with that pair?
Yeah, I think Mazia can cop a bit of soft. First race, should be able to get away with it, rail back true. She's a thinker, just needs to get a bit of racing under her belt, so she'll probably run as well. She has been a little while between runs, so should improve with it, but both a couple of progressive types of horses that should hopefully have bigger things in store.
Okay, on to the third. You've got I Wish I Win back from Stakes Company, this preparation. In a small 3-year-old race, it probably will come a bit tactical. How does he measure up?
I think he's certainly up to them. Mustang Valley will, probably start second favourite, I presume. But he wouldn't be running on a heavy track, and there's a chance that it could be heavy. So just wait and see a bit there with him. But the shades go on. I think he's in good order. Work's been solid. Okay,
and what about him? I'm picking 2,000 guineas. Is the aim still? Is that the case?
Yeah, for sure. So if he doesn't run on Saturday, we'll have to look at some other ways of possibly getting him there. Okay,
good as gold. On to the fourth, you've got Badgering to Witness and Trieste as well. A push for these two?
Badgering to Witness is a fair animal. He's drawn out a little bit. He's first up 1,400 on a heavy track. So, if it did get to heavy, doubtful starter. Might wait for Cambridge on the synthetic, but let's just see what happens with the weather. And Trieste got back and stayed back on the synthetic. Going to get her on the grass and give her another chance, but needs to pull her socks up quickly.
Okay, race 5, Exaltation and Top Brass. How they go?
Both going well. Happy with the pair of them. Top Brass has got to carry a lot of weight, and if we get rain, do we really need to bottom them out on a wet track? First up with it's going to carry 61.5. I'm not sure. We'll just see what happens there. And Exaltation, she's going well. She just needs to get some racing into her. But again, would be a doubtful starter on a heavy track. So it's just up to what the weather gods throw at us the next 48 hours.
Okay, Pure Imagination, your other runner at Matamata, goes around in the 6th. And here's a horse who does look really progressive, Jamie.
Yeah, I was really, really impressed with him at Te Rapa, but very deflated after Cambridge. So we just put it down to the synthetic track. He'd trialled well there before, but where the race day pressure is a little bit different, that's sort of what we're hoping. Played around with a little bit of gear on him, but I'd say he's a doubtful starter. Even on slow ground, he's got a good track action, and he could well be saved for the 3-year-old 13 at Hastings next week.
Okay, let's now turn our attention to Australia, where you've got in Sydney, you've got Probably going around in that, Melbourne in the Group 1 White and Power. How's he come through? Has she come through the last one?
How you going there, Aidan? Yeah, no, she's good. She's on the back up there last week, up to 1800. So she's had a good preparation. A couple of weeks into this next run. Zaki's obviously the one to beat, but she'll run well. She loves Caulfield, and it's going to give us a good indication of where we're at and whether we're a Cox Plate horse or whether we need to be dropping back to a race like the Empire Rose. So we're pretty open-minded, and we'll get through the weekend and see how it all plays out.
While you're open-minded, and I'm sure you've got a leaning, I guess your leaning, is it the same as your owner's leaning? What's the thoughts there?
Yeah, I think the Empire Rose looks a winnable race. I think she'd start favourite in it. The big roomy track at Flemington over a mile, weight for age fillies and mares certainly got a lot of appeal. I think that's probably the way that we would like to lean, but we'll just get through Saturday, see how competitive we are against a horse like Zaki. I guess there's a little question mark around Very Elegant after last week. Where does that good horse and Moody's turn up? Does he go Caulfield Cup into Cox Plate? I guess there's a few things there. We just need to sort of get through the weekend and then see how it all plays.
Right, yeah. I'm trying to decipher my missing writing that's getting me in all sorts on this page. Race 2 at Caulfield, Carmelas in the Weekend Hustler.
Yeah, going well. No luck first up, 4 and 5 deep the trip without cover. Carried the big weight and I thought finished off okay. Just giving her 3 weeks to get over that. Dropped her back to a handicap type race where she gets in against the boys and gets a bit of weight relief. But unfortunately has drawn second from the outside again. So we'll just have to ride her a little bit conservative and look for her to be finishing off with a little bit of luck and running. But they're not making it easy for her.
Yeah, is she going okay though?
She is. She's going really well. Very happy with her. She's doing a great job with those horses over there, and they'll both present well.
Okay, this time get to Sydney with Renwick, and I don't think you've got a Group 1 runner here either. Race 5 sort of stayed in the Roman Consul. How's he going?
He's going well. Just no luck first up. 3 deep the trip, no cover, big weight. So we're back to set weights. We've got a draw, and we're fit and hopefully ready to go. So. Yeah, he's going to be an interesting runner. I think he can improve a lot. Whether he can improve enough to beat the Godolphin horse, not sure. But I'd like to think that we're there when the whips are cracking.
Yeah, like obviously he showed any amount of potential and ability as a 2-year-old. Is he bringing that same form yet, or what's the go with him at the moment?
Yeah, I don't think we're far away. We've had an interrupted preparation with him. He got to Australia and he was ready to go, and then we had a bad blood and left a bit of feed, and then we were going towards the Heritage with a trial at Rose Hill, and then with the COVID restrictions we weren't able to trial there. And he's a horse that just needs a run. Doesn't matter how hard you gallop him or how many trials you give him, he appreciates the pressure of a race day to help his fitness. So he has improved a lot. And I'd be disappointed if he wasn't ready to run well. Dad's been really happy with him.
Perfect. On to race 6. Amaralina goes around in a race which I can't read my writing again, so I'll let you explain it.
She's in the Yank Stakes, which is a set weights and penalties mares race over a mile. She's carrying 59 kilos top weight, and she's drawn the outside barrier. So just not having a lot of luck with her either. She got shuffled up. First run over there, got shuffled back to last in the Bill Ritchie and finished off okay. We have got McDonald on, which is a big plus, but we are going to need luck and running. But again, she seems to be going well. Dad's been pleased with her. So hopefully we can have a little bit of luck, but she'll have to be at her best with the top weight and the outside draw, I would have thought.
Okay, good. Thanks for giving us all that insight into those runners. But before we let you go on, I want to tip. We need to make $1. What's either at Timaru or Matamataha or Randwick, Flemington, Caulfield, should I say? What's the tip?
The tip will be at Timaru on good ground, because that's probably the only place we're going to get it in New Zealand. And we should stick with Shepherd's Delight to get us off on the right foot for the weekend.
Okay, liking that. Really appreciate the time, Jamie. Go well for the weekend.
Thank you.
Getting you off to Cranbourne now, where David Brown's training, and of course Elephant heads towards the Group 1 Toorak handicap this weekend. David, before we talk about the weekend, congratulations for the immense success you've had in Melbourne. How satisfying has it been?
Oh, it's been such a great trip, really. You know, the horses we bought were capable of winning, though, so that always helps. But for them to actually step up and perform has been outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely. And it hasn't just been one member, hasn't it? It's like the team's firing.
Yeah, they've all been ticking along nicely. We sort of chucked in Border Leicester late, just mainly because he was going so well and thought he'd be one just to try and get him to the Jericho, and he's been racing really well. He got a nice wet track the other day, which suited him, so I'm pretty pleased with him.
Absolutely, and it just shows that the decision to roll the dice is really paying off. Undoubtedly, the flag bearer has been Elephant, and he's become something of a cult horse over there. I guess partly because of the name, but partly because of his performances, David.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I want to talk about a bit, but yeah. So he's done the job so far.
Yeah, absolutely. How's he gone on since that last run?
We're really happy with him. He's probably come through the last run the best of a lot of them. His coach's starting to come on, and he's actually strengthened up a lot and done super. And his gallop this week was probably the best he's done here as well. So more than happy leading into it anyway.
His record's outstanding, isn't it? He got beaten for the only time in his career when he went down by a nose in the fee. And do you reckon that sort of might have had a mindset thing on him, saying, no, I don't want to ever taste this again, and he's back out winning next time again?
Yeah, I don't know. You know, it was only it's probably second up there too, and it was a bit wetter than you'd like it to be for him. I think he's better right on top of the ground, and it was only just after the post he's back in front again too. He's just sort of missed the bob and sort of probably misunderstood it a little bit, but I mean he's only been beaten just a nostril, you know. So yes, and I think he's come on from that quite a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. And both of those in top company and the fee and then the Sandown Stakes. And now you step up to the Toorak, but you're getting a little bit of weight relief, aren't you, under the handicap conditions?
Yeah, I mean, he comes in the weights reasonably well. Not as well as if Behemoths were still in the race, then we sort of would have been right down on 53, which would have been even better again. But that's sort of part of the game. We're trying to get in the race and get the right handicap as well is always hard, but I think we've come in pretty well.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you play this one? Have you gone through sort of scenarios and how it all works out for him?
Yeah, during the race, we've got a good barrier and he's put himself in a reasonable position. I don't think we've got too much to worry about. Just leave it up to Damien Lane. Just get him there as good as we can and sit there getting nervous, probably pretty much. About that.
It must give you real confidence with someone like Damien. He's been on the horse twice now and won them both, and he must be taking confidence out of what he's felt with Elephant as well.
Yeah. He was very happy with him last start. He said the way he switched off was he just wasn't even sure if he was still there coming around the turn, and then when he asked him for a little bit, he was there, and he was really happy the way how he switched off so much. Obviously, the first time he rode, if he didn't switch off that much, fresh up, and the difference it's made, how he's changed, you know.
Obviously, this is a goal. You get over to Melbourne and win a Group 1, and it would be great. But what are your thoughts? Can he pull it off for you?
I think we've got him as well as we can get him, and got him to where we need him to be, and is fit and the best we can. So hopefully he can turn up. You know, it's always a nervous watch for us because everyone that's had racehorses, you know, that at some point they sort of let you down and, oh, Jesus, run down the track, it's done that. And every time you watch him, you think, oh, is today going to be the day, you know, and it probably gets me more nervous thinking about that. But I think he'll run a solid race and be right there. So it'll just depend on what else happens in the race, or if something's better than him on the day, I suppose. But, yeah, very nervous watching anyway.
Absolutely. We're all nervous for you as well. And he really is a horse who's captured New Zealand sort of betting fans and racing fans as well. And it does lead me to another thing, David. Obviously, you're over there in Melbourne. You've made the sacrifice to be away from the family. Obviously, Emily and the kids. What's that been like? How hard has it been for you for being over there away?
Pretty tough, to be fair. Yeah, it is quite tough. Like normally you can do these sort of things and slip backwards and forwards and it's no dramas. So, but it has been quite tough. But hopefully I'll get a slot home sooner or later that I can head home in the next few weeks. But haven't been very lucky so far. But we'll just have to see.
Okay, and the other thing is obviously you're over there around Trent Barsterton, Natalie Young, Brendan Horton, some really good minds. How much have they been as sort of ideas sort of based, bouncing off plans and things with them?
Yeah, it always makes a difference, especially when you're with people that know the programming and what's happening in that, and just the daily ins and outs of how everything works too. So I've been very grateful and very lucky to have had that sort of help through the campaign.
Okay, you got Elephant this weekend. When are we going to see the rest of the team?
Rhino's in on Wednesday, middle of Caulfield. There's a rating 70 race there for him for 3-year-olds over the mile, so that should suit him well. Just don't think he's quite going to see the Derby trip this early. He's got a high cruising speed and he's probably better off utilised just a little bit shorter. So we didn't bother nomming for that. So we'll just stick to this race next and see how he goes, and he might have another go start of the carnival. There's a race from there, so we'll see how he goes. Border Leicester's probably going to start actually on Friday night, Cranbourne again. It's just a nice race. He comes into it a lot weaker than he's been in, and we've had quite a lot of rain here, so I think it'll be it's very well suited to him.
Okay, and Bifrost?
He's actually gone home. We just had a couple of troubles with him with just a bit of a cut mouth and trying to get it right, just trying to get that right. And if we were at home, we'd probably chuck him out in the paddock and give him sort of 6 weeks. So we made the option to send him home. He'd sort of paid for his way and broke even for the trip for him. So it was sort of a no-brainer to send him back. Really, a lot of ability, but just all come up a bit soon for him.
Okay, you talked about that rain. Does it have any effect on Elephant for the weekend?
Don't think so. Cranbourne was already an 8 now, and we've had a bit of rain here, but 5 at Caulfield, and it generally drains pretty well. Yeah. So I think it'll probably end up being a 5 or something like that. It'd be better for us if it was a 4 or a 3, but I don't know if we'll quite get that.
Okay, well, really appreciate you giving us the time, David. As you said, a whole country in behind you and hoping the Elephant can pull off this tour act for the weekend. Very best of luck to you.
Thank you.
You're back with the form and a chance now for us to recap the best bets. Good luck to you if you're following our tips into bets here on a Friday. Don't forget that TAB have removed deposit fees on the accounts as well. First race from Team Adu, 11:28. Join us on TAB Tracks. I'd also get onto the TAB website to get any further information around today's race.